Sometimes, no matter how good you are, it's always good to go back to basics. Hi, I'm Rebecca of Elspeth of the aka Elspeth of the Planeswalker Pantheon, and I am here with a booster box opening of Core Set 2019. I'm so happy these are back because, as much as I love drafting complex formats, there's something about a core set that's just nice to go back to just regular meat and potatoes of Magic, just the real basic fundamentals. And as much as I'd love to bring in new players to come to a draft, the newer sets have a fair bit of complexity to them, and that's why core sets are great. Also, core sets allow us to get cards that we might need to help keep standard in a healthy format. Anyways, let's just get into this box opening. The way I'm going to do this box opening is a little bit different. Instead of going through each card and calling the names, I'll do it for the first pack. But for subsequent packs, I will just skim through the commons, read out the uncommons and the rares. Hopefully that will make us go a little bit quicker. Alright, let's go. So we've got a Rustwing Falcon, Tolarian Scholar, Act of Treason, Mind Rot, Daggerback Basilisk, Boggart Brute, Invoke the Divine, Pegasus Courser, Field Creeper, Aviation Pioneer. This is actually quite a good card. 3 mana for 2 power, 3 toughness over 2 bodies is quite good. Millstone. We actually had a really good mill deck in our pre-release pool. That we had a giant. I had my partner go for the mill plan, and we did pretty well. Shieldmare, one of the horse cycle. I think this might be standard playable, I think, in the white decks, in the sideboard. Meteor Golem, just great removal for decks that don't have removal. And Leonin Warleader, so basically not quite Hero of Bladehold, not quite not quite Brimaz, but this is very good. This is by far a first pick card. So Leonin Warleader is 2 and double white for a creature cat soldier. Whenever it attacks, create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink that are tapped and attacking. And we've got a Timber Gorge and a Goblin. So from now on, we'll just skim through the commons, and then I'll read out the uncommons and the rares. But I'll go at a pace for the commons that you can actually read it if you do want to pause. First uncommon is Reliquary Tower, great commander staple. Satyr Enchanter, great for those who look at playing Enchantress. Surge, this is probably your favourite card in this set from Learning Ready Run. Sift, amazing card advantage. And we've got an Amulet of Safekeeping, so Amulet of Safekeeping, it's a 2 mana artifact. Whenever you become the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless its control plays 1, and creature tokens get -1/-0. This is just a weird mishmash of abilities. I don't know how I feel about it. It's so strange. I wouldn't be picking the draft. If I was drafting, I'd probably grab a Sift. There was some decent creatures, but you can't go wrong with just some of the best blue advantage. Submerged Boneyard, and a zombie. Sky Scanner, it's really nice. Lich's Caress, excellent removal. Manolith. Ghirapur Guide is our first uncommon, so 2, and I just realized I didn't read the uncommons for the first one, but I'll fix that up now. So Ghirapur Guide, 2 and a green for a creature Elf Scout. It's a 3/2, and for 2 and a green, target creature you control can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less this turn. Double cast for red, it's a sorcery. When you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. Reassembling skeletons, so for 1 and a black, it's a creature skeleton warrior. For 1 and a black, you return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And our rare is a Runic Armosaur, so I think this might see a little bit, maybe see a little bit of play in modern. It depends. So for Runic Armosaur, it's a 1 double green creature dinosaur with 2 power and 5 toughness, and whenever an opponent activates an ability of a creature or land that isn't a mana ability, may draw a card. So there are multitudes of creatures with various abilities. It lets you draw off your opponent's fetch lands as well if you're playing it in modern. It's a good card. I think it's quite solid, and it's got 5 toughness, which stops a lot of the removal aside from a revolted, fatal push, or a path to exile. Yeah, like I was saying, it's nice to be back at meat potatoes magic. Because like I said, you can draft as many complex sets as you like, but there's some sets that you just need to go back to basics. String of Spores, great removal. Trade Loss, it's closest to removal you're going to get in blue, without combining with other colours. Colossal Dreadmaw making its 3rd appearance. 4th appearance, Explosive Apparatus. Vinemare, the 2nd of the horse cycle, so for 2 double green you get a 5/3 elemental horse with hexproof, and it can't be blocked by black creatures. I like this sort of new direction that they've been going recently with protection, also pseudo-protection. Like, with the Knights in Dominaria, and this cycle of mares, like with either hexproof from a colour or just can't be blocked by colours. Diagraph Ghoul, so 1 in black, it's a 2/2 zombie and it comes into the battlefield tapped. Aerial Engineer, it's a 2 white blue 2/4. As long as you control an artifact, the engineer gets +2/+0 and has flying. Very good if you're in the colour combination. And we have Izareth, the Awakener, so the big tittied goth girlfriend. So for 1 black, you get a 3/3 legendary creature human wizard, it has Death Touch. Whenever Izareth the Awakener attacks, you may play X. When you do, return target creature card with convert a mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield. The corpse counter on it, why it doesn't just reanimate it, I don't know. If that creature would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. So I guess that might be the reason why they do that. And we've got a foil Aviation Pioneer. Oresco Swiftclaw. Epicure of Blood. This is nicer in the black-white decks in draft. Our first uncommon is Infernal Hellion, so for 3 and a red you get a 7/3 creature with trample. At the beginning of each end step, if it attacked or blocked this turn, its owner shuffles it into their library. Which is quite a nice way of having it as a recursive threat. The 3 toughness is a little bit of an issue, but you'll find ways to work in and around it. Draconic Disciple, again, all these gold cards are great if you're in these 2 colour combinations. So for 1, a red and a green, you get a 2/2 human shaman. You can tap to add 1 mana of any colour, or pay 7, tap and sacrifice it. And you create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. Plague Mare, this is another of the horse cycle, so for 1 black, you get a creature Nightmare Horse, which is just a cool typing. It can't be blocked by white creatures, and when it enters the battlefield, creatures your opponents control get -1, -1 until end of turn. And it's a 2/2. Hey, our first mythic is an Omniscience. This is sweet. So for 7, blue, it's an enchantment. You may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. I don't know if I'll pick this in draft, but it's a nice little money card for the box. And a foiled Inspired Charge. This is probably my favourite foiled art for Inspired Charge, I won't lie to you, even though I like the Kaladesh art. And a cat token. I like these cat tokens better than the Army Cat ones, that's just me though. Because the cats are attacking. Got an Arcade. Mighty Leap. Cancel. Electrify, very good removal in draft. This is actually a card that surprised me quite nicely. It's a 5 mana 3/3 fly, which you're going to pay regardless. And then the ability just to give in a sense of free attack with an Anthem is so good. First uncommon is a Rogue's Glove, so for 2 mana get an artifact equipment. Whenever the equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card and you equip it for 2. So turn your creatures into an Ophidian. Regal Bloodlord, so for 3 a white and a black, you get a 2/4 flyer, which is quite good. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain life this turn, create a 1/1 black creature token, which is something that the life gain decks in Draft, I believe, need. You can't just gain life, you need to create a board presence, and this is a great way to do it. Gutter Snipe. Oh, this is fun in Two-Headed Giant. I want to see someone build like the 3 Gutter Snipe deck. So for 2 and a red, you get a creature, Goblin Shaman. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Gutter Snipe deals 2 damage to each opponent. In Two-Headed Giant, that means 4 damage. But still, this is a very good card in Draft. And Praying Omnipotence. Now, our store banned this card in Two-Headed Giant because it would just draw out games straight away if it would resolve. So for 3 black, it's a sorcery. Each player loses half their life, then discards half the cards in their hand, and then sacrifices half the creatures they control. Round up each time, so it keeps going until someone dies. In Two-Headed Giant, because you've got 2 players, it hits each player. 2 halves equal a whole, so everyone loses all their life, and the game just ends. We ended up banning that card in Two-Headed Giant because it was killing the enjoyment. Thankfully, we only had that problem in our casual event, so when we came to our actual competitive event, we won't have to worry about it. The way we fixed that was if we did open it, we would just get a random rare. Oresco Swiftclaw. This is good. 2 mana for 2 bodies is so nice, especially in the red-black sort of aggressive sacrifice decks. Texture's Horror, another good card in Two-Headed Giant. Shock, just good removal. Limited Spawns, great white removal. Stitch's Supply, so 1 black, one black, you get a creature zombie. When it enters the battlefield or dies, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. Graveyard decks would love this. Dredge would love this because it does exactly what Dredge wants to do. I can't wait to see people actually experiment with this, and I want to see the results of this. Aether Tunnel, so 1 in the blue is Enchantment Aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+0 and can't be blocked. Sure, it's fine. Hieromancer's Cage. 3 in a white enchantment. When the Hieromancer's Cage enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls until Hieromancer's Cage leaves the battlefield. Easily the best white removal in this set. And our rare is a Mystic Archaeologist. So for 1 and a blue, you get a creature human wizard. It's a 2/1, 3 mana, 3 and 2 blue, you draw 2 cards. This is great if you want to drag the game out to be long. And the Avatar token, this is for Ajani's Last Stand, I believe. Which is quite cool, I've never actually seen the token before. So we got Anticipate, great to see this card back in Standard. This is probably one of the few enchantments I'll be happy to play. Talons of the Wildwood, it enchants a creature, gives it +1/+1 and trample, and you can return it from your graveyard to your hand. It's just, it prevents yourself from getting the whole enchantment problem of being 2 for 1. Vampire Nene, again great in Two-Headed Giant because it just drains for 2 each time the longer it stays out, and it's an 0/3 blocker, so it's a good body. So our first uncommon is a Blood Divination for 3 and a black sorcery. It has an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice a creature, draw 3 cards. If you got things like the Goblin Instigator, that just poops out an extra body, you can just sacrifice it to draw 3 cards. It's just good value if you've got the extra bodies to spare. Declared Dominance, this card just ends games sometimes. So for 3 double green, it's a sorcery. Target creature you control, target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. All creatures able to block it do so this turn. Another Plague Mare, I won't read that out again because I've already done it once. And a Gigantosaurus. So for green, you get a creature dinosaur that's a 10/10 with very lovely flavor text from Vivian Reed. One story from the two had a giant pre-release. This is a different pre-release from the opponent. My opponent who had the mill deck. I gave my opponent the green-red ramp deck that we could pretty fairly easily cast Gigantosaurus, but our actual game plan was to ramp out, play Sarkhan's Unsealing, and then just destroy the board. We did this in one turn. We had Sarkhan's Unsealing. We hit the 5th green source for Gigantosaurus. Played the Gigantosaurus, wiped our opponent's board, hit our opponents for 8 because it was for each player on cast. And then because we had the Goblin Motivator, we were able to give this haste, and you can guess what happened from beyond that. Elvish Rejuvenator. Surprisingly, I think it might be a good card in draft. I've heard people say it's overrated, but I want to see how it ends up shaking out, especially if you're in that sort of ramping deck. Fiery Finish is our first uncommon at 4 red. It's a sorcery that deals 7 damage to target creature. Novice Knight is a 1 white 2/3 with Defender. It's a human knight, and as long as it's enchanted or equipped, it can attack as though it didn't have Defender. So maybe good in the green white sort of enchantress deck that I've been seeing. Aerial Engineer. So for 2 white blue creature human artificer, as long as you control an artifact, the engineer gets +2/+0 and has flying. It's a 2/4 on the bottoms. And Scapeshift, nice. So for those who aren't familiar with Modern, this is a key piece in the Scapeshift decks in Modern because it's the namesake card. So for 2 green, it's a sorcery. Sacrifice any number of lands, search your library for up to that many land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. So the way you win with this is you Scapeshift with a Valakut out, you get enough mounts to basically bolt your opponent to death. And that's how the deck wins, and you're sort of playing with Primeval Titans, Sakura Tribe Elders, and various ramp spells like Search for Tomorrow. Scroll the stars. Green's base removal. Gallagher Cavalry. This is such a good card. It's a 4-mana 2/2, and you get another 2/2 on top. It's really good value. Arcane Encyclopedia is our first uncommon. For 3 mana, you get an artifact with 3, tap it, and you draw a card. Vigilant Baloth, it's quite literally what it says on the tin. So for 3 and 2 green, you get a 5/5 creature beast with vigilance. It's literally on the tin. Gravedigger, so for 3 and a black, you get a 2/2 creature zombie. When it enters the battlefield, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Believe it or not, someone actually ruined this, but if you look close enough at the art, the hand that's bandaged, people always used to think that was a coffee mug. It's hand bandaged up. It's so cool. Now I can't look at this art again. And our rare is Dismissive Pyromancer, so for 1 and a red, you get a creature human wizard. For red, it's a 2/2. You pay red and tap it to discard a card, draw a card, so you get a Rummage. And for 2 and a red, tap it, sacrifice the Pyromancer, it deals 4 damage to target creature. Which is just very good. It's a bear with upsides. And I never say no to bears with upside. I mean, back in Dominaria, I wasn't too hyped on Tetsuko Mizawa. My mind changed on it when I saw it just basically put a clock on it that they couldn't stop. Decent removal in white. Lightning Mare, so this is the red one of the mare circle. So for red, you get an elemental horse, which is a 3/1. It can't be countered. Lightning Mare can't be blocked by blue creatures, and for 1 red, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. I think this might see sideboard play in the red decks just as an uncannibal threat against control decks. Mirror Image, so for 2 and a blue, you get a creature shapeshifter. It's 0/0, and you may have mirror image enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature you control. So it's a clone effect, but only for your side. But the fact that it doesn't target is quite interesting. Poison Tip Archer. So for 2 black and a green, you get a 2/3 elf archer with reach and death touch. Whenever another creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life. So it's basically an elf archer, an elf creature with the Blood Artist text on it, which is quite cool. And reach and death touch are 2 very good abilities. And we got Pelakka Worm in his rightful spot as a rare. So for 4 green, you get a creature worm with trample. When Pelakka Worm enters the battlefield, you gain 7 life. When the worm dies, draw a card and it's a 7/7. I got blown out by this card during the pre-release. My opponents played this. They were in a black-green deck, and I had flashed in Chromium on their end step. They saw them having 1 black open. Didn't think about it at the time. I probably should have. That they had Nightmares Thirst. The removal spell 1 black, gain a life, and you give a creature -X/-X. They played the Pelakka Worm in this previous turn, which allowed them to kill Chromium. That was such a blowout. I was like, holy crap, you know? It was insane. So that kind of ruined my day a little bit. Diamond Mare, so the colours of the horse cycle. So for 2 mana, you get a 1/3 artifact creature horse. As it enters the battlefield, choose a colour. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen colour, you gain 1 life. So it's great in the black-white life gain decks, I believe, because you can just play around it. Dragon Egg. So for 2 and a red, you get an 0/2 creature Dragon Egg. It's a defender. When it dies, create a 2/2 red dragon creature token with flying and red. This creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Enigma Drake, so 1 blue and a red. It's a creature drake with staff or power and toughness. It's a flyer, and its power is equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. And our rare is Transmogrifying Wand, the loading ready run preview card. So for 3 mana, you get an artifact. It enters with 3 charge counters on it. For 1 and tap it, remove a charge counter from the wand. Destroy target creature. Its controller creates a 2/4 White Ox creature token. Activate this ability anytime you could cast a sorcery. I'm kind of disappointed there's no Bruce Tal flavor text in this, to be honest. Southbound Stag, very good creature and limited. First uncommon is Make a Stand, so for 2 and a white you get an instant. Creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain indestructible until end of turn. Tectonic Rift, for 3 and a red, destroy target land. Creatures without flying can't block this turn. Heroic Reinforcement, so for 2 and red and white you get a sorcery. Create 2 1/1 white creature tokens. Until in turn, creatures you control gain +1/+1 in haste. When I saw this, I forgot they actually anthemed as well as getting haste. And Banefire, as if mono red needed more reach. So for X and a red, you get a sorcery. Banefire deals X damage to any target. If X is 5 or more, this spell can't be countered and the damage can't be prevented. Banefire. Sometimes I just love topping up, hitting Banefire for the win. Alright. First uncommon is Reclamation Sage, a really cool reprint to see back. So for 2 and a green you get a creature Elf Shaman. It's a 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, you may destroy a target artifact or enchantment. There's actually a lot of targets in there, and green would love to have more of those effects. Aegis of the Heavens, so 1 and a white, you get an instant. Target creature gets +1/+7 until end of turn. Sure. Skyrider Patrol, so for 2 green and blue, you get a creature Elf Scout with it's a 2/3 of flying. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may play a green and a blue. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, and that creature gains flying. So it just ends games on its own. And our rare is Chaos Wand. So for 3 mana, you get an artifact. Tap and you pay 4 and tap it. Target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery. You may pay that card, cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then put the exiled cards that weren't cast in the bottom of that library in a random order. I've got a full Sovereign Spot. That actually looks pretty sweet. Our first uncommon is Fiery Finish. Novice Knight. Murder. So cool to see this as an FNM promo. The art looks so cool. I wish I was actually going to draft with this. And a Valiant Knight. So but maybe there might be a Knight deck in Standard. Who knows? So for 3 and a white, you get a 3/4 Human Knight. Other Knights you control get +1/+1. And then for 3 and double white, Knights you control gain double strike until end of turn. Yeah, this is the card. Sorry, I can actually read this. So, Nightmare's Thirst. So, for 1 black, you get an instant. You gain 1 life. Target creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is the amount of life you gained this turn. So, that whole story was they played a Pelakka Worm. They had 1 black mana. Mind you, they weren't an exclusively life-gaining strategy. I played Chromium at the end of turn. They let it resolve, and they cast Nightmare's Thirst. So, yeah, my Chromium was a dead dragon. Psychotic Symbiote. So for 4 blue black, you get a Creature Nightmare Horror. It's a 3/3 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent discards a card and you draw a card. So this is great card advantage for you and disadvantage for your opponent. Siegebreaker Giant. So for 3 red, you get a Giant Warrior. It's a 6/3. It has Trample. And for 3 and a red, target creature can't block this turn. It doesn't care if you're a coward or a warrior. Your creatures just aren't blocking. And Sun Cleanser, we finally get our Energy Hate card. So for 1 and a white, you get a 1/4 creature Human Cleric. When it enters the battlefield, choose 1. Remove all counters from target creature. It can't have counters put on it for as long as Sun Cleanser remains on the battlefield. Or target opponent loses all counters. That player can't get counters for as long as Sun Cleanser remains on the battlefield. It's so strange they printed this now, honestly, to me. That's just so weird. Our first uncommon is a Fountain of Renewal. So it's a 1 mana artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 1 life. And 3 mana, sacrifice the Fountain of Renewal and you draw a card. So it's great for the life gain deck, the black-white life gain deck. Sleep. So for 2 and 2 blue, you get a sorcery. Tap all creatures target player controls. Those creatures don't untap during that player's next untap step. Great to end the game. Great as a defensive tool as well. Volcanic Dragon. So for 4 red, you get a creature dragon. It's a 4/4 with flying and haste. Perfect. And we got Demanding Dragon. So for 3 red, you get a creature dragon with flying. When Demanding Dragon enters the battlefield, it deals 5 damage to target opponent unless that player sacrifices a creature. So it's either killing a creature or just getting a free smack in the face. And a foiled Shieldmare. This is actually really pretty in foil. Wow. The flames on this really go off on it. Yeah. That's really pretty. Like, wow, that actually kind of caught me off guard a little bit. It's a horse, of course, it's a horse, it's a horse, of course. First uncommon is Druid of the Horns. So for 3 and a green, you get a 2/3 human druid. Whenever you cast an aura spell that targets Horn of Druids, create a 3/3 green beast token. Psychic Corrosion, like the mill deck that I played with in Two-Headed Giant actually had 2 of these things. So for 2 and a blue, it's an enchantment. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent puts the top 2 cards of their library into the graveyard. For those who aren't familiar, if one opponent in Two-Headed Giant has no more cards in the library and they try to draw it, that whole team just loses. Horizon Scholar, so for 5 and a blue, you get a creature Sphinx, which is a 4/4. It flies, and when it enters the battlefield, scry 2. Very good. Hey, and we got our Ajani, Adversary of Tyrant. So for 2 white, you get a legendary creature, Planeswalker. So it has stats with 4 loyalty. You +1 to put a +1/+1 counter on each up to 2 target creatures. For -2, you return a target creature card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, and for -7, you get an emblem at the beginning of your end step to create 3 white 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink. So cool. This is actually the one of the few planeswalkers I didn't hit in my pre-release. I still need to hit a Vivian and a Nikki B. Personally, I think Ajani is probably the best card to come out of this core set in terms of... It's either between Ajani and the Nicol Bolas, to be honest, for constructed. So Ravenous Harpy, so it's a 2 and a black creature Harpy. It's a 1/2 flyer. Pay 1, sacrifice another creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Ravenous Harpy. Dryad Grainseeker, so 1 and a green, you get a 1/3 creature Dryad. You tab to look at the top card of your library. If it's a land, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. Switcheroo, so 4 and a blue, it's a sorcery. You exchange control of 2 target creatures. You trade your less good thing for their best thing. And our rare is a Demon of Catastrophes. So for 2 double black, you get a creature demon. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. It's a 6/6 with flying and trample. You can't go wrong with that rate. And we got a Vivian Raid token. I love that she's kind of the mix-up of Nissa and the and Steve Irwin, Australian national hero. This is some of the flavor text. If you go through this set and look at all the flavor text for certain cards that's attributed to her, they're funny. I know you guys are disappointed that it's not Garruk, but I think Garruk would need to be green-black because of the Veil Curse, and we haven't heard from him in ages. Rise from the Grave, so for 4 and a black you get a sorcery. Put a target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. That creature is a black zombie in addition to its other colours and types. Murder, 1 black, instant, destroy target creature. Gargoyle Sentinel, so for 3 mana you get a 3/3 artifact creature Gargoyle. It has Defender, and you pay 3 mana until end of the turn. It loses Defender and gains Flying. And our rare is Sigil Sword of Valerian, so for 3 mana you get an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 vigilance and is a knight, in addition to its other types. Whenever equipped creature attacks, you create a 2/2 white knight vigilance creature token that's attacking, and you equip it for 3. Speaking of knight tokens. feel free as we're going through this, if you want to pause in between to do first pick, first pack as well. Rupture Spite's a land. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless you pay 1. You can tap to add 1 mana of any colour. Exclusion Mage, this is probably the first pick in this pack, to be honest. It's a 3 mana 2/2 human wizard. When Exclusion Mage enters the battlefield, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. So who doesn't love a mana war? A Ball-Brash Ogre. So for 2 black-red, you get a 3/3 Ogre Warrior with Menace. When it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, Brawl-Brash Ogre gets +2/+2 until end of turn. And we've got a Cleansing Nova, so for 3 white, you get a sorcery. Choose 1, destroy all creatures, or destroy all artifacts and enchantments. One a blue, you get a ton of 1 a blue, enchantment aura, creature gets +1/+0 and can't be blocked. Vinemare, Digraph Ghoul, and Mentor of the Meek. So Mentor of the Meek, 2 and a white for a 2/2 human soldier. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. Great if you have a way of generating a lot of free creatures, like with the Sigiled Sword or with the Leonin War Leader. There's some ways to generate free creatures, which makes Mentor of the Meek quite outstanding. Skeleton Archer, it does what it says on the tin, just like a lot of creatures in this set. Make a Stand, Druid of Horns, Vampire Sovereign, so for 3 black, you get a 3/4 creature vampire with flying. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. And we got a Goblin Trashmaster. So for 2 red, it's a 3/3 Goblin Warrior. Other goblins you control get +1/+1. Sacrifice a goblin, destroy target artifact. Man, there's so much fixing in this set. It's insane. I think it's the fact that they decided to put a bunch of 3-color dragons. Burn to Ash. So for 2 blue, it's an instant counter target creature spell, and you draw a card. I'm not usually a fan of counter spells in draft, but at least this one cycles through. Blanchwood Armor. So 2 and a green. It's enchantment or enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each forest you control. Spell Spectre. For 3 and a black, you get a 1/1 creature with flying. You get a 1/3 creature with flying. It's a Spectre. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent discards a card. Whenever an opponent discards a card, that player loses 2 life. I don't know how often that's going to be relevant, to be completely honest. And 1 with the machine. So for 3 and a blue, you get a sorcery. Draw cards equal to the highest converted mana cost among artifacts you control. This is very much a commander card, I believe. I don't know where you'd put. I'm not quite sure where this would be best. And probably even Padeem, I'd say would be my first guess. Thud is our first uncommon. It's a 1-mana sorcery. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature. Thud deals damage equal to sacrifice creature's power to any target. So it's a 1-mana slowest fling. Departed Deckhand, it's a 1 and blue 2/2 Spirit Pirate. When it becomes the target of a spell, sacrifice it, not spell or ability like most illusions. Part of deckhand can't be blocked except by spirits, which is surprisingly relevant. And for 3 and a blue, another target creature you control can't be blocked except by spirits. Got a snipe. And we got Goreclaw, Terror of Calcisma. So for 3 and a green, it's a legendary creature, Bear. Creature spells you cast with power 4 or greater cost 2 less to cast. Whenever Goreclaw attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets +1/+1 and gains trample until end of turn. So for all of you guys that are complaining that it's not in flavor, you've got to remember, she's from Tarkia, and the bears are at least 4 power, so she cares about 4/4s, not just normal little 2/2s. And a 4 plummet. That's something you've got to remember. She's a Tarkia bear, not your average bear. She's bigger than the average bear. Wow, I never thought I'd get a Yogi Bear reference into a card set opening. Stitches Supplier, Brawl Bash Ogre, Hieromancer's Cage, and Isolate. This could see play in Modern, although sometimes the fact that it can hit any permanent is quite interesting. I saw it just, but it has to be converted at mana cost X, and there's converted mana cost 1, and there's a lot of things in Modern which fit that build quite nicely. So there are some really cool things in the set that give you a bit of a call out for other formats. Good old Giant Spider. If you haven't seen Mystic Studies video on Giant Spiders, you've got to do yourself a favour to do it. Volley Veteran, so for 3 and a red, you get a 4/2 Goblin Warrior. When it enters the battlefield, it deals damage to the target creature and opponent controls equal to the number of goblins you control, so it's basically a Goblin Flamecurrent Karvu. Ajani's Welcome, so it's a 1 white enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. I love this artwork, it's so pretty. It's not quite a Soul Sister, but it does the same thing. Surge Mare, so for 2 blue, you get a Horsefish. Why couldn't they call it a seahorse? It's an 0/5, can't be blocked by green creatures. Whenever Surge Mare deals damage to an opponent, may draw a card. If you do, discard cards, so a loot effect. And for 1 and a blue, he gets +2/-2 until end of turn. And we got a Bone Dragon. So for 3 black, you get a creature dragon skeleton with flying. It's a 5/4. For 3 black, exile 7 other cards from your graveyard. Return Bone Dragon from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And the fact that it's an instant, you can do it any time. And our foil rare is a Magister's Scepter. So for 3 mana, you get an artifact. Pay 4 mana, tap it, put a charge counter on the scepter. Remove 3 charge counters from Magistrate's Scepter. Take an extra turn after this one. Aegis of the Heavens, Vigilant Baloth, Gravedigger, and Dark Dweller Oracle. So for 1 and a red, you get a 2/2. 1 mana, sacrifice a creature, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. So you still have to pay the cost, but you can play the land if you have an available land play remaining. Our first uncommon is a Skilled Animator, so for 2 and a blue, you get a 1/3 Human Artificer. When it enters the battlefield, target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 5/5 as long as the animator remains on the battlefield. So either make a Thopter that you got bigger, or animate an artifact that's a little on the small side. Just a plank basically. Recollect, so for 2 and a green sorcery, you return a card from your graveyard to your hand. Regal Bloodlord, and Dijin of Wishes, so for 3 blue you get a 4/4 creature Dijin with flying. Dijin of Wishes enters the battlefield with 3 wish counters, and for 2 blue, you remove a wish counter from the Dijin, reveal the top card of your library. You may play that card without paying its mana cost. If you don't, exile it. Arcane Encyclopedia, Rupture Spire, Exclusion Mage, and Infernal Reckoning, another one of those really cool, modern hit pieces. So if 1 and black, you get an instant, exile target colorless creature, you gain life equal to its power, which is very good for things like Wormcoil engines, and I think there might be some other relevant big colorless things the older you go in formats. Gift of Paradise, 2 and a green, you get an enchantment aura, it enchants a land. When this is the battlefield, you gain 3 life. Enchanted land has tap, add 2 mana of any one colour. Herald of Faith, 3 white for a 4/3 creature angel with flying. Whenever it attacks, you gain 2 life. Mirror Image, and Metamorphic Alteration, so for 1 and a blue, you get an enchantment aura. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature. Enchanted creature is a copy of the chosen creature. So enchant a creature to make it a clone of another creature, if I'm getting this correct. Oh. Ox. Highblade, very good creature to flash in. Normal Endurance. Why didn't they just print the one from Amonkhet? It's the exact same card, just at 1 cheaper. Reclamation Sage, Surge Mare, Skyrider Patrol, and Palladium Ores, the Ruiner. So for 3 and red, green, white, you get a 6/6 legendary creature, Elder Dragon. With flying, vigilance, and trample. Palladium Ores, the Ruiner has hexproof if it hasn't dealt damage yet. Big boy. Actually, big girl, actually, because in the lore, she's Nicol Bolas' sister. It says so right in the flavor text. What I think I like about these 3 colored dragons is it allows you to be base 2 colors, and you can splash into the 3rd without a lot of issues. Double cast, Militia Bugler. So for 2 and a white, you get a creature, human soldier with vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with power 2 or less from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Lightning Strike, so for 1 and a red, it's an instant. Deals 3 damage to any target. Why do they keep upgrading this for draft? I decided Lightning Bolt was too good. Lightning Bolt will be a rare at this point. Open the Grave, so for 3 black, you get an enchantment, and whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. This is the good half of oh shoot, what's the card Lucy Dredge? Bridge from Below. Thank you, it took me a little while to remember it. But it's the good half without the downside. But the fact is that you don't have to play it. with the next box, I think I'll do like the daily pack crack and put it into a playlist so we can actually have that beneficial discussion, especially with Ravnica coming through. Shieldmare, Nightmare's Thirst, Psychic Symbiont, and an Elvish Clan Clause. So for green you get an Elf Druid. Other elves you control get +1/+1. And for 4 green, tap and search your library for another card named Elvish Clan Core and put onto the battlefield. Oh, I wish they'd stop teasing me with these Nicol Bolas checklist tokens. I just want to hit a Nikki B. Just one Nikki B. One tricky Nikki. I don't think I will with this box though, because I'm up to my second last pack. Psychic Corrosion, Leonin Vanguard, so it's a 1 white catch soldier, it's a 1/1. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control 3 or more creatures, Leonin Vanguard gets +1/+1 until end of turn you gain 1 life. Aerial Engineer, it's a 5/7 creature with flying. Whenever you attack with a flying creature, whenever a creature with flying attacks, you may draw a card. Mountain. And last one. That foil's going into my draft box because I'm slowly trying to foil out my basic lands that I use for draft. Even though they're not full art ones, because full arts are expensive. Foley Veteran, Ajani's Welcome, Siegebreaker Giant, and Thorn Lieutenant. So Thorn Lieutenant is a 1 green 2/3 elf warrior. When it becomes the target of a spell or an ability an opponent controls, get a 1 green elf warrior creature token. And for 5 and a green, you get a 4. You get a 4. It gets 4/4/4 until end of turn. And 4 heroic reinforcements. And that was the end of the box there. So thank you guys for watching. This will be up on YouTube in a short moment. Please like and subscribe to the channel for all the new video content that I will be putting up eventually. And if you haven't already liked the page, if you've just come up here from somewhere else, please go to the Planeswalker Pantheon Facebook page where we'll be putting a lot more content. See you later.